Hey everyone, let me bring you up to speed on what's happening here. Because this isn't the kind of quirky outage you laugh about and forget. It's a statewide mess you feel in the errands that keep life moving. And if you've tried to buy a firearm lately, you already know what I'm talking about. Nevada took a cyber punch, and when state systems stumbled, it wasn't just a couple of slow websites. Motor vehicles and social services were hit too. Parked in the middle of that pileup sits the state background check, and that's where everything jams for ordinary customers. For more than 2 weeks now, if you don't have a concealed carry permit, you can walk into a shop, fill out your 4,473 present, your ID, even have a purchase shipped in for transfer, and still walk out empty-handed. The counter staff can be helpful, the paperwork can be perfect, and your order can be sitting in a back room with your name on it, but unless you hold that permit, you're not picking anything up. Meanwhile, people with permits are the rare exception who can complete a pickup, which only sharpens the sense that the rules are being applied unevenly through no fault of the people waiting. Here's why. Nevada runs a two-layer system: the federal NICS check, which is working, and the state background check. You need both green lights to complete a transfer, and right now the state light is pinned on red. The federal piece isn't the issue. The bottleneck is the state system, and until it wakes up, the second half of the go signal never arrives. People keep asking about the 3-day unresolved rule. Under normal circumstances, if a background check isn't resolved within 3 business days, a dealer can choose to proceed. But here's the catch: if the initial check can't be submitted because the state system is offline, there's no official start time. No start, no stopwatch. Without a submission, the 3-day clock never begins, which means the safety valve that's supposed to prevent indefinite limbo is effectively welded shut. So the days stack up like bricks, and each one represents people who planned a first purchase, who finally tracked down the right model at a fair price, or who simply want to exercise a right the Constitution doesn't list as optional. It's not only shoppers feeling this. Walk into any licensed dealer and you'll see transfer boxes that can't go out, plus a front counter having the same conversation on repeat. We can take your info, we can receive your shipment, but we can't complete the transfer today. Nobody likes saying it, and nobody likes hearing it, but it's the truth. And no, there isn't a way to bypass the state layer and just run federal and call it good. Nevada set itself up long ago as a point of contact state. That means the state check isn't a polite courtesy, it's hardwired into the process. Skip it, and a dealer risks their license. That's not going to happen. If there were clear updates, a reliable status page, or a timeline that didn't feel like a shrug, people might plan around it. Instead, the message keeps sounding the same. We're working on it, maybe by the end of the week. Meanwhile, the clock isn't moving for the people who need it to move the most, and the only things changing are the size of the backlog and the patience of everyone involved. Think of it like a 2-key launch you need federal and state to turn together. Federal is turning, state isn't. No 2 keys, no launch. In the next segment, I'll take you behind the counter to show what that looks like on the ground and why first-time buyers feel like the timing couldn't be worse. Stay with me, we'll walk through it together. I'm not sugarcoating any of it today. Picking up where we left off, let's talk about the part nobody really sees until they're standing at the counter trying to reach someone who can flip the switch. You call the number that used to take background checks, and an automated voice says the office is closed. You refresh the website, and it looks like a blank door with a "down for maintenance" sign nailed across it. You send an email to the help address that once solved the weirdest login problems, and a reply arrives promising they are working on it and by the end of the week. People keep asking whether the 3-day rule should have fixed this already. Under normal conditions, yes, if a check sits unresolved for 3 business days, the dealer may choose to release. But that safety valve only opens once a check has been submitted and timestamped. When the state portal is unresponsive, you can't even get a pending number. Without that submission, there's no clock, and without a clock, there's no relief. The intent behind the rule is simple, preventing indefinite limbo, yet the outage turns simplicity into a trap with no obvious exit for anyone involved right now. Meanwhile, the backlog grows in the quiet parts of every shop. Think about the number of licensed dealers across the state, often estimated around 50 to 55, and imagine each one stacking transfers for 2 weeks or more. Even conservative math turns into hundreds per storefront. Every morning, the carrier walks in with a fresh stack of boxes addressed to customers who believe today would finally be pickup day. Shelves that used to breathe now strain. Back rooms get reorganized twice, then 3 times as employees play Tetris with cartons, tracking tags and promises that have not been kept lately. The financial side is not theatrical, it is arithmetic. A transfer that sits is space you cannot use, and labor you repeat, receive it, log it, track it, answer the call, pull the box to the counter, explain the situation, and then wheel it back again. Walk-in traffic softens when the word spreads that nothing can leave the building. People browse less if they believe browsing leads to frustration. Nobody is crying poverty on camera, but the math is unkind to small operations that live on flow. Momentum is a business model, and outages steal momentum faster than discounts replace. Now zoom ahead to the day the lights flicker back on. What happens when a shop in the state hits the same switch at the same moment? Phone submissions are capped at 10 per call, a policy that was manageable before, and now it is a thimble trying to drain a lake. Hold times that used to stretch 2 or 3 hours on a day become all-day background music. The online portal, new since February, has not been pressure tested by a surge like this. Will it queue and process smoothly, or will it stutter, freeze, and send back to phone lines? Clearing the pile will not be elegant. Some shops will triage and set rules, prioritize the oldest orders, prioritize first-time buyers, or work strictly first in, first out. Every approach has a cost. Prioritizing age punishes those who placed orders recently through no fault of their own. Prioritizing new owners delays long-planned upgrades for experienced folks who also did nothing wrong. First in, first out is fair, but slow, and fairness does not quiet phones. Expect a wave of reschedules, a handful of cancellations, and an inbox flooding with the same worried question, repeated politely and relentlessly again and again by patient customers everywhere. What stings most is the sense of priority. Other parts of government seem to spring back to life faster. Licenses were processed, courts returned to routine, and agencies regained access to data. Yet the state background check, the hinge that decides whether a lawful buyer actually takes possession, remains the last light to turn green. No one expects miracles, but people do expect clarity, and clarity has been scarce. The message has not changed, the clock has not started, and the line keeps growing. Next part, I will show you what the wait does to first-time buyers and regulars here. Here's what this wait does to people and why it matters beyond one errand gone wrong. When a system decides whether a lawful purchase can be completed, it isn't just a database query, it's the hinge between a right promised on paper and a right you can actually use. Most of us accept checks to keep the process responsible and consistent, and when it works, that trade-off feels sensible. But when the state layer freezes while the federal layer keeps humming, fairness collapses. You are not denied because you failed. You are stalled because no one can run the check. That is a different kind of, the kind that says come back later without saying when later ends. The longer this drags on, the more the priority meter looks broken. Other services blinked and returned, while the one service that decides whether buyers can finish a transfer sits on the bench. If recovery is complicated, say it plainly. If security patches take time, explain the timeline. If the holdup is budget staffing vendors or a rebuild, own it. People handle bad news better than silence, and silence turns frustration into suspicion. Transparency isn't a luxury, it's the oxygen that keeps trust alive. First-time buyers feel this the sharpest. They arrived hopeful, asked good questions, followed every step, and met a locked door with no sign for when it opens. Some were buying for protection, some for sport, some to learn a disciplined skill. Whatever the reason they left with a new idea, you can do everything right and still be treated like a citizen waiting for permission to be a citizen. Seasoned owners feel it too because they know the difference between a safeguard and a stall. Shops are carrying human weight. Employees tag names, stack boxes carefully, and repeat the same conversation with patience because none of this is the customer's fault. Owners stare at shelves jammed with inventory that cannot be released and do the math nobody sees. Storage insurance overtime, canceled appointments, lost walk-in sales, and hours answering phones instead of serving people at the counter. These aren't abstract costs. They are the difference between keeping momentum and losing a month you never get back. I wish nightly news would show this honestly. Show the back rooms and the customers the screens that won't load and how the 3-day safeguard fails when the clock never starts. If the policy is sound, defend it. If the implementation is brittle, fix it. If the outage exposed a weak point that should have been reinforced years ago, say the quiet part out loud and reinforce it now. Lack of coverage doesn't shrink the problem. It only makes the people living with it feel invisible. I'm not asking for special treatment, just equal treatment. If this right matters on paper, it should matter in practice enough to earn urgency resources and regular updates. The fastest way to reset the temperature is straight talk. What broke, what's restored, what's still offline, the realistic path to normal, and how the backlog will be handled without playing favorites. People can be patient when they know the plan. Until then, do what you can. Be courteous to counterstaff. Double-check your paperwork so nothing slows you down when the switch flips. Stay in touch with your shop watch for updates, and when your number finally moves, show up ready. To those running small businesses through this, keep your heads up. Community support matters, and I'm asking everyone watching to support local shops that have held the line under impossible conditions. Drop your thoughts below. Tell me how this has affected you. Share tips that helped you navigate the wait, and let me know the moment you see signs of life on your end. If you found this useful, hit subscribe so we can keep this conversation moving and make sure future updates reach you. I'll keep watching the same dashboards you are, and when there's solid news, I'll bring it straight to you without sugarcoating it. Stay safe, stay patient, and keep each other informed with real updates. Please comment,